It always feels good for Penn State football fans to get a commitment, but I imagine it feels a little bit special to get a whiteout commitment. Penn State football gets their first commitment after the 2023 whiteout. Penn State won 31-0 against Iowa. And Sean Fitz, recruiting insider, is here to break down the latest news coming out of that weekend. So, Fitz, how are things going today? How is everything in the wake of the whiteout? And who's committing to the Nittany Lions, most importantly?
You know, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think Penn State fans are pretty happy with this weekend after the 31-0 decimation of Iowa last night. We knew coming into the weekend that the whiteout always gets guys, gets guys up for things. You never can count on a commitment to cash in right away. Hasn't happened since 2019 for Penn State, really, but it happened today. DJ McClary, linebacker from North Jersey, Henry Snyder High School. And he brings it, man. He's one of those guys we've been watching for a long, long time. I've had my pick in for a while because as Penn State sort of tried to push back into New Jersey in the class of 2025, landing Amari Gaines, originally landing Jaelyne Matthews. The third guy that we pointed to as a potential Nittany Lion was DJ McClary. He made that official on Sunday afternoon, told the staff last night. I know this is one that's been trending Penn State's way for a long time, but it doesn't take away the significance. This is a really good player.
Yeah, and we'll just roll the highlights, and you can watch for yourself here on the YouTube channel how good DJ McClary is. So you said you've been following him for a while, but really, you don't have to watch the full game to know he takes over games for his high school.
He takes over because he's the team. Like, he is their entire team. No disrespect to the rest of that squad there, but he's the quarterback, the Wildcat quarterback. He throws it a little bit, but he just gets the ball and goes. And then he plays both ways, plays on defense, incredibly productive on defense, finds the football, closes fast, closes violently. The size is not, I don't want to say it's prototypical, about 6'1.5" 205 pounds. He will grow. But he finds that football, he gets to it quick, and when he brings it, guys go the other way fast. As if you're watching on YouTube right now, you just saw that quarterback get pretty much broken in half. So this is a guy all out on, and I know these are highlights, but all out on every play, finds the football and just does a phenomenal job finishing. And when he gets to the next level, he will get a chance to get a little bit more structure in terms of weight program, nutrition, all that kind of stuff. And he will get a chance to play one side of the ball, which I think is very exciting if you're a Penn State fan. So a lot of polish left. This is a guy that I don't know if he's going to be an early contributor, but he's a guy that is flat out all over the field, and that's exactly what you want. A box guy for Penn State. He doesn't have the best size, but a box guy for Penn State. I think he can find football, seek football, and destroy ball carrier with some of the best in the class of 2025.
Yeah, you mentioned not the biggest size in the world, but you like guys that are built the right way. And as you mentioned, 204 pounds at 6'1", with, you don't. I guess the concern might be that he's a finished product. Like, he might be a 225-pound linebacker, 225, 232, but I don't think that really matters with the strength he plays through contact. And you don't know how players are going to grow. Like, he might grow, be 6'1", 6'2", and then be perfect size. So from a physical standpoint, you like what you see from his ability to play through contact, and I really like his vision and his patience. As a linebacker, we see guys flying around the field who have athleticism like this, and they can sometimes take themselves out of plays. Again, it's highlight film, but you watch him read, react, and explode, like you said. So I wouldn't say there's anything to worry about in terms of his physical potential or his mental potential in the game. Just as you said, getting him into a system where he's playing one side of the ball and he can focus on playing linebacker.
Yeah, I agree. And I said he's a box guy, but like with that size, if he does have the ability to drop and play in space, I mean, I think that makes sense. We've seen some guys that are just above 6 foot, as McClary is, excel in that position as well. So, I mean, I don't want to pigeonhole him into the box, but he can just go, man. And like I said, there's a lot of development left. He's a very raw prospect, and if this is what he looks like as a raw prospect, I think the sky's the limit in terms of him as a linebacker at the next level.
I know we don't have a lot of firm testing data on him right now, but just from a looks like perspective, what do you think of him as an athlete on the spectrum of Penn State linebackers? Because this is an interesting conversation of he's obviously a great athlete, but there are some freaks and some monsters in the Penn State linebacking room over the last since 2018. So, on a spectrum of Penn State linebackers, where do you see him in terms of his ability and his projection to the next level?
Yeah, I wish I had some documented times on him, but unfortunately, he did not camp for Penn State this year. It's tough because he's kind of got a solid Kobe King like build, but Kobe didn't play much during his junior year because of an injury, and when he was out there healthy his senior year, he found the football and finished like McClary does on tape. Maybe not as athletic as Curtis Jacobs, but you can see a little bit of that as well. I
That's
think
who I thought of.
on the
Yeah.
offensive side of the ball. So that's why, when I kind of walk back playing in the box, I can say, okay, this guy can get out there and just be versatile on the outside if he needs to. So I don't know that there's a perfect comparison. I want to avoid the Navarro Bowman comparison because of the size and because of the way that he just decleats people like Navarro used to do. But that I think that's way too removed from when Navarro was here, and also we know what Navarro turned into, and to put somebody up on the pedestal, to put that expectation on him early is probably a little bit much at this point.
Yeah, but also he is a good linebacker in the class of 2025. So finding that right balance of not trying to put too much on him, but also acknowledge that this is a player that's almost a top 100 player in the On3 industry rankings at 109, just outside of that, and also a top 10 linebacker. So linebacker, you getting another quality prospect here for the class of 2025, building on what they've done over the last couple of years. Just to recap what we saw earlier in the On3 in our rankings graphic, he's the number 137 for On3 specifically, a 90 overall though, in terms of his 4-star rating, really close to that. He's getting into that really solid 4-star, 137. So another player in the On 300 for Penn State in the top 200. Good player there. What do you think of this class? I know that you just mentioned that you're adding another player from New Jersey. One removed himself from the class, but early signs of this class, it seems like Penn State has good momentum in 2025.
Yeah, I think so. And before I get into that, I just want to go over the numbers real quick. 2,107 yards and 25 touchdowns on offense last year, threw for 504 yards and 2 scores, 131 tackles, 20 tackles for loss on defense last year. Like I said, this guy was their team. I was talking to Brian Doan last week, and he said, or excuse me, this week, and without him last week when he was injured, they lost to a team that hadn't won in 3 years. That's going to tell you something not only about the competition, but also about how important he is to that group. Now, if you look at the Penn State class 2025, it's not big yet. You've got Keandre Barker, you've got Amari Gaines, and now you've got DJ McClary, 2 of those guys from Jersey. Of course, Jaelyne Matthews decommitted from Penn State a couple of weeks ago. He was at Georgia over the weekend. We think the Bulldogs are the team in front of that one right now. I'm not sure if that one will come back around. I'm not sure if he'll come back around, but you look at what Penn State did this weekend on the recruiting trail, a lot of 2025 talent taking notice in the Nittany Lions. Of course, the whiteout's always going to draw people in. But at the same time, when you have an atmosphere like that in damp conditions, and, the weather wasn't fun for anybody, but people having a lot of fun, people seeing a dominant performance, I think that's going to resonate for a little while here with McClary being the first to jump on board. We're awaiting a decision from Tyke Hayes from Aliquippa. He's supposed to announce at 3:30 on Monday, and you got to feel good about Penn State there. So, it's still very early for these 2025 kids. We've seen guys that have made commitments, step back from commitments just because, frankly, it's too early for a lot of these decisions. But there are some guys, especially in the region, especially in the state, that makes sense for to be potential Penn State commits, and probably not in the not too distant future.
And this is the time of year where if it's an early commitment, it is within the strike zone of, we've seen this before from players that commit during the season, that they're more serious commitments, and these are guys that have made a firm decision, maybe haven't jumped the gun like they do if it's in the summer or the spring of 2 years out. So I think for Penn State, you feel good about this, obviously, and for last night, for everything that it was, great atmosphere for Penn State football. And I know that you, and Ryan Snyder, our recruiting insiders, the best in the business that have all the experience, all the connections, been hard at work finding out who is here, how they felt about it, and the other things going on with Penn State football recruiting. And if you want more information on that, sign up right now. The big game is over, so the big game special is going away very, very soon. I keep saying I don't know exactly when. I don't know if this clock strikes midnight and turns to a pumpkin, but if you don't sign up, you are missing out on amazing coverage from recruiting to the football team to the insight from Nate Bauer, Greg Pickle on football, wrestling, basketball, more. If sports are your hobby, you cannot spend a better $50 than signing up for BlueWhiteIllustrated.com right now. Fitz, these are always about the player. They're about the individual in this moment in time, but can't help but look ahead just a little bit. You got a nugget of something coming up that you want to promote here on the site, or maybe just leave fans with something to look forward to on the other side.
Yeah, I think you pretty well covered it with that pitch. I think it's an exciting time to be a Penn State fan. You got to be feeling good after that win last night, and I think that the schedule sets up nicely. You go to Northwestern next weekend, take a little bit of time off. That defense is going to be very rested by the time they travel to Columbus in October, I believe. And they were fantastic again last night. But again, I mentioned Tyke Hayes from Aliquippa yesterday. I think there's a bunch of guys that were there on Saturday night that make a lot of sense for Penn State. Not just because they were at the whiteout, not just because that they're, I guess, fairly regular names at this point, but a lot of guys make sense. I know Ryan's doing a tremendous job with recaps and things like that. So I do encourage you to check out the site at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com.
We'll have more for you on Monday as well with the BWI live show, so please stay tuned. Subscribe here to the YouTube channel as well, because that one, you get that. This is your portal in. So take the dive, join us at the site, but we'll always be here to talk to you on the YouTube channel. I'm Thomas Frank Carr. He is Sean Fitz. We'll be back with more breaking news when it happens from Blue White Illustrated.